Really? Really, America? We are 6 days into 2021. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm not one to like subscribe to that theory, and I never have, like, oh, the new year is gonna be, any new year, and this one in particular, a lot of people were just like, oh, the new year, and it's just all gonna go away and be better. I didn't expect that, but I sure as hell did not expect what happened this afternoon. If you don't know what I'm talking about the Capitol building being stormed. And I'm a historian, so this is stuff that I read about in textbooks. These are things that it's like, oh, the mob stormed Versailles and took the, Marie Antoinette and her children and the king hostage. Those are things that I read about in textbooks. They're not things that I've ever lived or seen in person. And it was shocking, to say the least. The first thing that comes to my mind is embarrassment, because the United States is slipping on the world stage, and this event only fuels countries like Russia and China to kind of laugh at us. And more importantly, it discredits all of our work to actually bring democracy to other countries. A place like Russia, I've seen documentaries where they use a religious angle and say that this is part of the moral decay, and that democracy doesn't work, especially because it switches so often. And they didn't directly name us, but it said in comparing democracies to the fall of the Roman Empire. They said that, they had leaders come and go very quickly, and said that even today some democracies tend to switch out their leaders every 4 years, and that's very inefficient for, keeping a strong, sturdy country. That was obviously a hit towards us, and things like this don't improve the situation. You also are, of course, the CCP is rolling out all sorts of propaganda against this, saying that this is the problem with a two-party system, and it's unfortunate, because I work with a company that has a lot of Chinese people that work with us, and very nice people, but they already believe that the government is that the one-party system works, and that and to an extent it does, but at the same time they have been brainwashed by the CCP to believe that a one-party system works, that democracy in the way that we recognize it here in the States doesn't work. And this just, and they're very open-minded people, so I don't want to take away from that, but it is shocking to hear that sentiment repeated, even in people that I figure to be very, very liberal, very liberal, and yet they've been very successfully educated, brainwashed by the CCP. And of course, this situation is not going to make it any better. This just fuels that flame abroad, and that's just embarrassing, to be quite honest. And it's just sad. Internally, though, it's just unbelievably, as a historian, I look at the textbooks, I look at all this stuff, and seeing what our democracy has become, seeing how polarized our country is it's not frightening, but it's very unsettling, especially because this is not the way that our democracy was intended to work. George Washington said two things in his farewell address. The first thing is that the United States should stay out of foreign affairs. I disagree, but for particular reasons. That's neither here nor there, because that's not the topic of this video. The topic is the hell happened today. And the second thing that he said was that political parties are dangerous, and all they will do is cause internal fighting constantly, and you cease to see each other as Americans, and you start to see each other as the enemy. And he's absolutely right about that. You see it. You saw it today. You saw it this morning, this afternoon, excuse me, with the violent mob that was out on the Capitol building. And what's really sad, and I had a conversation about this morning. What's really sad is that our government has to be in a position where it's all or nothing. Either all, in order for anything to get done, you have to have complete control of the government, and that is not at all how our government is intended to work. And this event, I hope, is a one-off sort of thing, but I wonder if this is going to be a normal occurrence. Again, this is something that, to quote George Bush, happens in a banana republic. This happens in these other countries. This is stuff that we saw in 2012 in Ukraine. This is not the United States. This isn't what we've done. It is now. I guess it is now. Welcome to whatever the hell we're making, what we're doing now. But it is unreal. Anyways, this is not how I intended to make a first video. I wanted my first video to be something else. And this channel is not necessarily meant to be political at all. I meant this just to be, I'll explain that later, eventually. But as a historian, you know, stuff happens, and especially with what happened today, we haven't seen something like this since 207 years ago, 1814, when the British, the Canadians came and burned down our Capitol building, a lot of Washington actually, and we haven't really seen anything like this since then. I mean, we had the Vietnam War, but it wasn't to this scale, I guess. Regardless, like, subscribe, comment below, and or dislike, you know, send to a hate group, you know, whatever you feel like doing, you know, because this is America. You're free to do what you want with it. So yeah, 2021. 6 days. This is wonderful.